Hello, grade 11 students. Welcome back to our lesson. In this video, we will talk about the same topic that we had last time in reading and writing about patterns of paragraph development. So at the end of this lesson, you are expected to compare and contrast the patterns of development across disciplines, determine the appropriate pattern of paragraph development, and write paragraphs using the pattern learned. Okay, now paragraph writing is the foundation of all essay writing, whether the form is descriptive, narrative, or persuasive. We have different types of paragraph developments. Okay? And let's try to discuss how to organize paragraphs using different patterns. Let us first discuss first one, problem solution paragraph. Now, using this graphic organizer, which starts with a problem and then solution, and conclusion. Let us try to analyze this example paragraph, which uses problem solution patterns of paragraph development. Okay, read with me. Dr. Miller doesn't want the tigers to vanish. These majestic beasts are disappearing at an alarming rate. Dr. Miller Dr. Miller thinks Dr. Miller thinks that we should write to our Congress people. If we let them know that we demand the preservation of these species, maybe we can make a difference. Dr. Miller also thinks that Dr. Miller also thinks that we should donate to save the tigers. And our donations will help to support and empower those who are fighting the hardest to preserve the tigers. We owe it to our grandchildren to do something. Okay, now let's identify the problem. What is the problem? The problem is that the tigers are disappearing. Now, to stop the disappearance of the tiger, what are the solutions that are given? First, write to our Congress people. And what are we going to say? We should let them know or demand the preservation of this species. So these tigers. Then another solution, we should donate to save the tigers. And why? Because our donation may support to empower those who are fighting the hardest in order to preserve the tigers. And what is the solution? So, as you see, there are two solutions presented. First, write to the Congress people. Second, donate to save the tigers. And the conclusion given, we owe it to our grandchildren to do something. Okay? All right. So I hope you've understood and it's clear for you how to write or how to organize problem solution paragraph. Okay, so next is we have narrative paragraph. Now, how do you make a narrative paragraph? First, introduce your story or present major characters. Afterwards, add your narrative detail or your central point or conflict. And always end your story with a conclusion that reflects on the event. Okay? Now, here is an example of a narrative. Let's try to read this paragraph and then analyze it using the graphic organizer. Okay. Many people are confused about why our economy went to shambles in 2008. The crisis was actually the result of a combination of many complex factors. First, easy credit conditions allowed people who were high risk or unworthy of credit to borrow, and even people who had no income were eligible for large loans. Second, banks would bundle these toxic loans and sell them as packages on the financial market. Third, large insurance firms backed these packages, misrepresenting these high risk loans as safe investments. Fourth, because of the ease of acquiring credit and the rapid growth in the housing market, people were buying two or three houses, intending to sell them for more than what they paid. All of these factors created bubbles of speculation. These bubbles burst, sending the whole market into a downward spiral, causing employees to lose capital and lay off employees. Consumer spending then plummeted, and most businesses suffered. The economy is like a big float, and once it gets moving quickly in the wrong direction, it's hard to turn it around. Okay, now let's try to analyze this example of a narrative based on on this graphic organizer. First, introduce your story. Let's say the introduction here. Many people are confused about why our economy went to shambles in 2008. So, it's the introduction of the story. Then let's see the narrative. Where's the narrative started here? Here, the use of these words first, easy credit conditions. Then, second, banks would bundle these toxic loans. Third, large insurance firms backed these packages up. Then, fourth, because of the ease of acquiring credit and the rapid growth in the household market, people were buying two or more houses. Okay, so we already have the details or the central point or conflict. Now let's see, how did the story end? Okay, what is the reflection or conclusion? Here, consumer spending then plummeted and most businesses suffered. The economy is like a big boat, and once it gets moving quickly in the wrong direction, it's hard to turn it around. Okay, so as you can see, this example has the components mentioned in this organizer. The topic of the story was introduced, the narrative details were introduced and were given, and then the paragraph ends with a story um, or a conclusion. Okay, the paragraph ends with a conclusion that reflects on the event. All right? Okay. Next, let's have the cause and effect paragraph. Now, how do you make this type of paragraph? How do you organize or create cause and effect paragraph? Simply, first you have your thesis statement. It's very necessary. Then you will just simply tell or point out the cause and the effect that it brings. Okay, now let's examine this example below here, and let's try to distinguish the cause and effects. Okay, let's read. Much to her surprise, lottery winner Sylvia Lee found that sudden wealth was a mixed blessing. The results were both good and bad. After her win was announced, she was constantly hounded by people who wanted to sell her something. She got an unlisted phone number, but the more aggressive salesperson just come out on her doorstep. Another negative result was that people started treating her differently. I was shocked, said Lee. Everyone from the checkout clerk at the supermarket where I've shopped for years to my next door, though, the most of the changes have been positive. It's really a relief not worrying about money all the time. I actually went on my first shopping spree over, and it was great. Lee expects that other new and unexpected results of her sudden wealth and yet to come, but she's not discouraged. So far, at least, the pluses, the pluses far outweigh the minuses. Okay? So let's examine this paragraph. Okay? So, what's the cause? First, the cause is that Sylvia Lee won the lottery. And when she won the lottery, there are so many effects. So, what are these? First, a lot of people wanted to sell her something. Then, there are aggressive salesperson who would just be on her doorstep. And some people started to treat her differently. That makes that makes her shocked. But aside from the negative one, there are also positive changes or positive effects according to her. Like everyone at the checkout clerk at the supermarket where she used to shop, the change was positive. And it's still the same according to her. And another positive thing of her winning the lottery is just she found a relief. She found a relief not worrying about money all the time. That's why she was able to have her first shopping spree. And according to her, it was great. Okay. Now, what is the conclusion here? The conclusion is that Lee expects that new and unexpected results of her sudden wealth are yet to come. But she's not discouraged. So far, at least, according to her, the pluses or the positive outweigh the negative or the minuses. Okay? So that's how you make a cause and effect paragraph. So you have your thesis statement, you have the cause, and then you have the effect. All right. I hope you were able to follow. Now let's have persuasive paragraph. Now, how do you make a persuasive paragraph? First, you have to give an overview of the argument or a thesis. And then you have to provide pieces of evidence or, yes, evidences. Then provide supporting details for these evidences or evidences which you have provided and the opposing view. After that, you provide your conclusion. Okay? Let us examine the sample persuasive paragraph and let's analyze it using this graphic organizer. Okay? All right, let's read. Laughter is one of the greatest healing devices known to man. Laughter is powerful and can help people in many different ways. It has the power to cure something as little like a bad day or to heal the wounds of terminally ill person. Laughing has helped create the smile, which is the universal sign of well-being. Individuals who do not laugh live miserably and have unhappy lives. Dr. Robert Holden found out that smiling and laughing releases endorphins in the brain, which gives people an overall happy well being. Using comedy, many doctors have stimulated the healing process in manic depressants and fatally ill patients, giving them hope and ambition. In many clinics, laughter is being used in replacing antidepressants and reduces the need of painkillers. Take comedians, for example. They usually live long, happy lives. Putting a smile on faces and laugh in souls is what makes life complete. Laughter helps heal people and brightens spirits for a better and healthier life. Laughing is a sign of joy and hope and keeps people normal and the world happy. Again, take note of that. Laughing is a sign of joy and hope and keeps people normal and the world happy. Using the technique of laughter and happiness is the best medicine known to man. Laughter is the universal sign of well being and happiness within health. Laughing brightens the spirit and heals the mind of bad people who allow to overcome them. So, try to smile and laugh for a longer and happier life with your loved ones. Okay, now let's try to analyze this paragraph based on this graphic organizer. Now let us first have the overview of the argument or the thesis. Here, laughter is one of the greatest healing devices known to man. Laughter is powerful and can help people in many different ways. Okay, how? It has the power to cure something as little like a bad day or to heal the wounds of a terminally ill person. And then, what's the piece of evidence given and the supporting details? Here, Dr. Robert Holden found out that smiling and laughing releases endorphins in the brain, which gives people an overall happy well being. Okay? And then another supporting details. This one, using comedy, many doctors have stimulated the healing processes in manic depressants and fatally ill patients, giving them hope and ambition. Okay, then another, take comedians for example. They usually live a long life. Okay, that's another supporting detail. Okay. Now what's the opposing views? Did you see an opposing view here? Let's see. Putting a smile on faces and laugh in souls is what makes life complete. Laughter helps heal people and brighten spirits for a better and healthier life. Laughter is a sign of joy and hope and keeps people normal and the world happy. Using the technique of laughter and happiness is the best medicine known to man. Laughter is a universal sign of well being and happiness within health. Laughing brightens the spirit and heals the mind bad of people who allow to overcome them. Okay, so as you say, you don't see any opposing views here. What you see are pieces of evidence and supporting details. And we have here conclusion. Laughing brightens the spirit and heals the mind of bad people who allow to overcome them. So, try a smile and laugh for a longer and happier life with your loved ones. Okay, so that's the conclusion. So, class, that's how you write a persuasive paragraph. You give first the overview of the argument, you provide pieces of evidence, and you provide supporting details for this evidence that you have. If you can say an opposing view, if you've got, or you may not. Just for example, like this paragraph, and then provide conclusion. Okay, now let's have classification paragraph. Now, how do you organize a classification paragraph? Simply, it's very important you have your thesis statement, you have the details, and you have the purpose of classification. Now, let's have this example of a paragraph using this pattern. Test questions generally fall into categories depending on how they are answered: objective and subjective. The first kind, objective questions, have definite right and wrong answers. Multiple choice, matching, and fill in the blank questions are objective. Although they can be tricky because of their wrong wording, most students prefer objective questions. The answers are already there, and the students just has to choose the correct answer. There is a range of possible responses. Students have to know the information in order to answer each question, and they have to present in their own words. You can make a lucky guess on an objective question, but subjective question doesn't offer much hope for a student relying on a dumb block. Okay, now let's examine this paragraph. What is the thesis statement? Okay, here, this is the thesis statement. Test questions generally fall into categories depending on how they are answered: objective and subjective. Now, what are the details given? Here, it starts with the first kind, objective questions. It has definite right and wrong answers, and so on. And what's multiple choices, matching, and fill in the blank questions. So it's saying that these are objective. Although they can be tricky because of their wording, most students prefer objective questions. Why? Because the answers are already there and the student has to choose the right one. And it's also described here what the subjective test items are and what are its examples. Okay, like subjective test items such as short answer and essay questions have no single correct answer, meaning there's a range of possible responses, and students have to know the information in order to answer each question, and they have to present it in their own words. Now, you can make a lucky guess of an objective question, but never in a subjective question. Okay? All right. So you see here thesis statement and details about your thesis. Okay? All right. And the purpose of classification. Next, let's have descriptive paragraph. So actually, what we do when we provide descriptive paragraph, we have a topic and then we just give details, and we use we use descriptive words. Okay, now let's read this example of a paragraph. Test questions generally fall into categories depending on how they are answered: objective and subjective. The first kind, objective questions, have definite right and wrong answers. Multiple choice, matching, and fill in the blank questions are objective, although they can be tricky because of their wording. Most students prefer objective questions. The answers are already there, and the student has to choose the right one. Subjective items such as short answer and essay questions have no single correct answer. There is a range of possible responses, and students have to know the information in order for them to answer each question. They have to present it in their own words. Now, in objective, you can make lucky guess. but subjective question doesn't offer much hope for a student relying on a dumb block. Okay, now let's see what are the descriptive words used here. Here, the first kind, it's describing the objective question. It has definite right and wrong answers. Okay? Then, although it can be tricky, the word, the adjective, or the descriptive word like tricky, because of the wording, most students still prefer it. What else? There is a range of possible responses. Students have to know the information in order to answer each question. So as you can see, class, there are so many details here. All of these from the first kind up to the last one are details about this thesis. Test questions generally fall into categories depending on how they are answered, objective and subjective. And the rest, all these sentences that follow, are giving or providing descriptions about test questions, which are generally objective and subjective. Okay? Now, let's proceed to definition essay. Now, how do you write a definition essay? Now, it's very important that you have a thesis statement. And for you to define it, you may provide description, explanation, examples, and supporting details. Okay? Now let's have this example of a definition essay. According to the American Heritage Dictionary, gossip is a trivial rumor of a personal nature. But this definition makes gossip sound harmless. At first, gossip might not seem so bad. One person tells a second person something about someone, and the second person tells a third person, and so on. The information passes from person to person. However, gossip is much more than just information and rumor. As the rumor continues, it grows and changes. People do not know all the facts, so they add information. As the gossip goes from one person to another, the damage continues, and the person who is the subject of the gossip can't do anything to answer or protect herself or himself because the potential damage may range from hurt feelings to a lost career. Gossip is much worse than simply trivial humor. Okay, now class, tell me, is the paragraph developed by definition? Yes or no? Yes, of course it is. Now tell me, what is the word being defined? Okay, the word being defined is gossip. Now, how does gossip was defined? Or how is it defined? Gossip is a trivial rumor of a personal nature. It's by description. And then explanation. One person tells a second person and supporting details and also examples. Okay? So that's how you define a word when you make a definition essay. Okay, next, let's have comparison and contrast paragraph. Comparing how things or state comparing how things are the same or different. That's what you call comparison and contrast paragraph, okay? So what you do, you provide the differences, the similarities of the things, okay? Meaning you provide the differences of two things, two person, and then after that, you also provide the similarities. That's when you compare, you provide similarities. When you contrast, you provide the differences. So that's comparison and contrast, okay? Now let's have this as an example paragraph. Okay. My hometown and my college town have several things in common. First, both are small rural communities. For example, my hometown Gridlock has a population of only about 10,000 people. Similarly, my college town, Subnormal, consists of about 11,000 local residents. So this population swells to 15,000 people when the college students are attending classes. A second way in which these two towns are similar is that they are both located in rural areas. Gridlock is surrounded by many acres of farmland, which is devoted mainly to growing corn and soybeans. In the same way, Subnormal lies in the center of farmland, which is used to raise hogs and cattle. Now tell me, what what information are presented? Okay, so there are two places compared: hometown and college town. Now, it says here the similarities. How are they similar? There are two reasons. First, both of them are small rural communities. And second, both of these towns are located in rural areas. Okay? All right. Now, what's different about them? Perhaps you can say they differ in the number of people, but not that much. Okay. And then they differ in ways and means, like in Gridlock, it's composed of many acres of farmland devoted mainly to growing corn and soybeans. Unlike the subnormal, which lies in the center of a farmland and devoted to raise hogs and cattle. So those are the differences, but we've also mentioned the similarities. Okay, I hope you got it. Now let's have exemplification paragraph. Now, how do you make an exemplification paragraph? First, you provide an overview of the paragraph. Then you provide supporting arguments or supporting arguments. Then you provide your final impression. Now let's have this as an example. Each of Jamaica's four great gardens, although established along similar principles, has acquired its own distinctive aura. Hope Gardens, in the heart of Kingston, evokes postcard pictures from 1950s of public parks, gracious and vaguely suburban, and filled with familiar favorites, lantana and marigolds, as well as exotics. Bath has retained its world old world character. It is the easiest to conjure as it must have looked in Blaise time. Santuna of the Clouds is otherworldly, and Castleton, the garden established to replace Bath, fleeting evokes that golden age of Jamaican tourism when visitors arrived in their own yachts, the era of Ian Fleming and Noel Coward before commercial air traveled and loaded ordinary mortals all over the island. So, first, you present an overview of the paragraph and the supporting details and the final impression. So, here is the overview. Each of the Jamaica's four great gardens, although established along similar principles, has acquired its own distinctive aura. So, that's your overview of the paragraph. And then you have the supporting details here. Hope Gardens in the heart of the Kingston and so on. Then you have your final impression. What's the final impression here? It's here. Chanchuna of the Clouds is otherworldly. Castleton, the garden established to replace Bath. Fleeting evokes that golden age of Jamaican tourism when visitors arrive in their own yacht, the era of Ian Fleming and Noel Coward before commercial air travel unloaded ordinary mortals all over the world. Well, actually, this may have been the final impression. Okay? All right. I hope you were able to understand our lesson on how we organize the different patterns of paragraph development. Okay? Now, I hope you're able to follow and you would be able to understand. Now, let's have our task. Let's have task one. Words of the same matter blend together. Now, tell me, class, can you identify the organization of paragraph which you can use on this topic? Okay. Fantasy vacation, social media activity. How can we improve literacy? Will Netflix destroy cable television? Which is better, face to face learning? Internet influence on kids? Love? On child labor? Should school uniform be required? One hot summer or online learning? Okay. Now, using this using this table, I want you to choose, okay? Choose which topic or subject shows cause and effect, or which topic or subject can be used for a paragraph development using cause and effect, classification, comparison and contrast, definition, description, and persuasion. Okay? All right. So let's try this one. Okay, let's have the first one. Fantasy vacation. Oh, in this subject, you can use descriptive paragraph. So that's description. Social media activity. You can use description too for social media activity. How about this one? How can we improve literacy? What are you going to use? Of course, you can use persuasion because you are going to provide means to improve literacy. Will Netflix destroy cable television? Yes or no? So you may use persuasion again because you are going to write your reasons whether you agree that Netflix will destroy cable television or not. This one, which is better, face to face learning? Of course, you will use comparison and contrast, which is better, face to face learning or online learning. Okay, so comparison and contrast. Next, internet influence on kids. Of course, that's cause and effect. Love, definition, on child labor. Mm, you can use classification because you will classify what is child labor. Child labor is what? Okay. Next, should school uniform be required? Persuasion. One hot summer or online learning? Comparison and contrast. Okay. By the way, class, aside from classification paragraph for on child labor, you can also use cause and effect for this topic. Okay. Now let's have practice task 2. United we stand, divided we fall. Now I want you to arrange the jumbled sentences to form an organized paragraph. Then identify what pattern of paragraph development is used. Okay, again, Arrange the jumbled sentences to form an organized paragraph. Then identify what pattern of paragraph development is used. Okay, let's read. Number 1, if the oven is too hot, the crust will burn, become hard, and taste bad. A pizza stone will fix the problem because it will get very hot when preheated and will allow your crust to fully cook without burning it. Number 3, cooking the perfect pizza at home can be quite challenging. Number 4, one solution is to get yourself a pizza stone. Next, you may find what's difficult to get your oven to the right temperature. You will have the perfect crust. If your oven isn't too hot enough, the crust may get soggy. All right, so what is this topic all about? Okay, so first you have, again, cooking the perfect pizza at home can be quite a challenge. You may find that it's difficult to get your oven to the right temperature. If the oven is too hot, the crust will burn, become hard, and taste bad. If your oven isn't too hot enough, the crust may get soggy. One solution is to get yourself a pizza stone. A pizza stone will fix the problem because it will get very hot when preheated and will allow your crust to fully cook without burning it. You will have the perfect crust. Okay, so what type of paragraph is it? This is a problem solution paragraph. Okay, now let's continue. Let's have another test. Same test, okay? So you're going to arrange this in a paragraph. Apple skins are thinner and do not peel easily. Apples and oranges are both fruits, which means that they have seeds inside of them. Oranges also contain more acid than apples, but both fruits are delicious. Each has a skin, but orange skins are thicker and easy to peel. So, how are you going to arrange this? Okay, first, apples and oranges are both fruits, which means that they have seeds inside of them. Each has a skin, but orange skins are thicker and easy to peel. Apple skins are thinner and do not peel easily. Oranges also contain more acid than apples, but both fruits are delicious. What pattern of paragraph development is it? Okay, it's comparison and contrast. All right. For your assessment, write one or two paragraphs, each describing the same place from a different point of view. In one description, include details that reveal a liking for the place. In the other description, present details that reveal a dislike. Appeal to as many senses as you can without overriding your descriptions. Okay? So, what you're going to write is a descriptive paragraph. Okay? You are going to use descriptive words to do that. Now, here's the rubric on how you're going to be rated. A paragraph is a group of sentences dealing with only one main idea. If you got very good, you will get 10 points. Good, 6 points. Average, 4 points. And need improvements, 2 points. If your paragraph has a topic sentence that states the main idea, same, you will get 10 points for very good output. Then you must have a body that support or explain the main idea in the sentence. There should be enough details to engage the reader's interest. And the paragraph of description captures the essence of the atmosphere at the place. All right. So the highest possible scores that you can get is 60 points. If you got 48 to 60 points, then that's very good. If you get 36 to 47, that's good. If you get 24 to 35 points, that's average. If you get 12 to 23 points, that means need improvements. Okay? Now, class, if you have questions, you can message me in our group chat and I would be very happy to answer your question. Okay? So I hope you learned something from our lesson today. That's it for now. Again, this is Teacher Marge, your teacher. Goodbye.